Mark Zuckerberg's just become human. Here's how. So people have started to notice that Mark Zuckerberg has gone from like an AI's bad impersonation of a human to someone who might not upload your kids directly to the cloud for profit. He's also just got a lot more manly to someone that your girlfriend might actually look twice at. So in this video, I'm going to lay out how he's grown as a person and where for me, he still isn't yet a man. And there's going to be some lessons for all of us here along the way. Okay, so imagine, let's start a couple of years ago. Mark Zuckerberg, he's got it all. He's lying there on his pile of money. You know, he's got a beautiful wife. He's got all the power in the world, manipulating the algorithm to send us all insane through profit, controlling the narrative through Anyway, he's got it all. So he's wealthy. He's got a partner. He's got borderline autism, maybe. I don't know. So he's got all that, and yet something is missing. So I think the first people maybe to pull this up were maybe his PR team. So do you remember the Metaverse? He tried to get us to all sort of upload ourselves into the internet, and people just weren't having any of it. And one is because most of us like being embodies. Yeah, most of us don't think we're just information. We don't have this weird transhuman agenda he may or may not have had as a potential lizard person. I'm probably joking. The other one is I think he may have, and this is maybe my fantasy, but he may have said, you know what, there's something missing for me here, even though I have all this money and power. Certainly his PR team would have said, hey, the Metaverse launch was a complete disaster. People not only don't want it, but they didn't trust him. So why would they not trust him? Well, he's a head on a stick, right? Or he was at that point. In a way, he's a microcosm of what's going on in the world. We're in this hyper-cognitive, hyper-technological culture where people aren't embodied, they're not in their bodies, they're completely in their head. And that lacks charisma, it lacks trust. It means that as human beings, we just feel something's off with that, like a dog or a kid or anyone can feel that. And that was very likely the feedback he got after that Metaverse launch. So whether it was sort of for cynical sales PR reasons or existentially, he may have felt like, I've conquered the virtual world, but or what about the physical world? In any event, the key thing I would say for him was that he started doing martial arts. So he started training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, and looking at his physique, I guess weight training as well. He started training with Dave Camarillo. There's even footage of online training with Lex Friedman. And first up, credit to him, for someone in his position with so much, to humble themselves to become a white belt and eventually to put himself forward in public tournaments where I think he's done quite well as a white belt. Credit to him. Some people seem to be saying that he's had some, supplemental vitamins. I don't think necessarily at his age, if he's been just training reasonably well, that is the case. You will see those similar transformations in people like Jeff Bezos. And this is what we'll come to now. Those transformations aren't just physical. So weights and combat sports, and I know this firsthand, they change you in a number of ways. The first is just chemical, right? His testosterone levels have clearly increased, and there's a different presence, a different confidence, a different level of attractiveness that he has as a result of that. Again, this is not just him. Testosterone levels have been going down. I think they're a quarter now what they were in your granddad's time, for example. Whether that be from estrogens, lifestyle, culture, there's different theories on this. Again, maybe it's a conspiracy, maybe not, but certainly we're in a more feminized world, and you see he has that more masculine edge now in his being. More than simply the kind of chemical changes, and these are far wider reaching than people think in terms of your perception, way of thinking, way of acting. We could also say there's embodied changes, is how he carries himself, his very being. People don't realize this, but when you're training in martial arts, you're training the character. The Greeks would have understand this. This is what this channel is all about. And you can see he's effectively had embodied training as well as that physiological pump to his state. There's even a philosophical shift that comes with this. So, you hear him talking about Trump pumping his fist and how he admires Trump for that. And this may just be, again, cynically, he's supported the Democrats so much for his algorithm. He's now going, hang on a minute, I better play both sides. Maybe. But let's give him the benefit of the doubt. To me, it looks like testosterone is changing his entire perception of the world. Okay, so what's still missing? Well, for me, masculinity isn't defined by the material success he clearly has. Am I jealous? Yeah, of course. Who wouldn't want that kind of wealth? He's done very well in his chosen field, and he's provided a service which many of us use, even though we might slag him off. It's not defined by the kind of masculine combativeness that one gains through combat sports. I think that's a requirement for masculinity. Masculinity has always been fierce, it's always defended people, it's always had that capacity to dominate. That has always been part of masculinity. But now we're just looking at the sort of Andrew Tate masculinity, right? Like materially successful, physically capable. Yeah, two important things. Third one, though, in his and Tate's case for me is missing. That's service. What's it in service to? I still don't trust his integrity. My sense is he's still sending us all crazy for advertising profit. He's still dividing the world in this way. I don't trust that power, that money, that masculinity is being put into service. This contrasts with, say, Elon, who, you know, has his faults, also a martial artist. He's also got that compassion. Oh, I wish they would have fought. That would have been so much fun. In Rome, they were planning it. I think it could still happen, but, you know, Musk's a bigger guy, so maybe Zuck's sensible not to. Anyway, if you compare that with Elon, so Elon says, like, look, there's some things money can't buy. You can't pay me enough. There's he quotes the Princess Bride in this nice moment where he says advertising money isn't everything. I still don't get that impression with Zuckerberg. I still don't see him having a real sense of spine. And unless someone's really in service in their power, that's not masculinity for me. So for me, it's good to see him on the journey. Positive thing. He does look healthier. He looks happier, frankly. He's definitely more attractive. Ask your female friends. But yeah, for me, there's still a major piece missing. So who has that balance? Chris Bumstead. Check out the video we did on him. A little bit more on the kind of, he calls it the killer who cries, masculine, feminine balance, the masculine in service. Take a look at that for, I think, a better role model.